Guess who's back in the house? I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day. It has been about a month since I've come and spoke to you all. I have not done any reaction videos, and actually, I used to do a lot of post wardrobe drag race videos as well. And I haven't done that for the last few months with coronavirus. And then when the video came out of Ahmaud Arbery, I've really been gutted um, concerning the senseless deaths of Black people. And shortly after Ahmaud's death, where he was running through a neighborhood in his hometown, we learned about the death of Breonna Taylor, who would have turned 27, and then just the gut wrenching death of George Floyd. Um, his last words were, "Please, I can't breathe." And so I just felt like I couldn't post because of all of these things that were going on. At one point, I thought like what's the point? It just seems pointless for me to appear on camera, and I wanted to address that with you all. And it is a very troubling time in North America right now. It is difficult to be a Black person. It is difficult to be a person of color. I like to run and walk. It helps me to clear my mind, and I I run at night as well, just because it's cooler outside. I don't have to deal with the sun, and there are not a lot of people outside. So I actually prefer that, especially during coronavirus. And I run through a white neighborhood, and I have this fear every time I'm running that what if someone thinks that I am an intruder? What if someone thinks that I'm committing a crime simply because of the color of my skin? So it makes me run a little bit faster, even if I'm tired. And there's this sense of release when I exit that community. And I shouldn't feel that way. And because I'm Black, for most of my life, I've been made to feel that way. And because of social media, in real time, we get to see the deaths of so many people of color. And every time I see a video like of George Floyd, of Ahmaud Arbery, it's this collective trauma that I re-experience every single time. The wounds cannot heal because of the frequency of these videos. And it's not just the deaths that we see police brutality. And those are the videos that I actually see on a consistent basis on social media. And it makes you wonder, what can you do? And that's what I loved in this response that we've seen across the world. Protests. There were protests in places where I would never expect to be protests. The Iranian government called out this country for brutality against Black people. Never would have expected that. There is a mural on the Berlin Wall of George Floyd. And when countries that inflict trauma on their own people call you out for brutality, a change needs to occur. Institutional change. But I think before we will see institutional change, we will see changes in individuals. There will be more conversations that will come out of this, and we have actually seen that, and I love that. And especially in the month of June, which is Pride Month, it is especially meaningful because the very first Pride was a riot that occurred at Stonewall. And I love that the people that started that riot were people of color, people who were non-binary, people who were effeminate. And we should remember them. We should say their names. So the Marsha P. Johnsons, the Sylvia Riveras of the world. By saying their name, we honor them. We honor their legacy. We honor what they meant to people. And it just reminds me why we celebrate Pride. So many important events, so many tragedies have happened in the month of June. We're about to celebrate what happened at Pulse nightclub in Orlando. I believe it's next week. And we have to continue to protest, continue to march, so we can help to bring about change. And it really makes me feel hope that with all of the marches that have happened across the world in honor of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, and the other people who have died due to police violence and brutality. And so I felt that I couldn't create anything else. I couldn't come before you without actually addressing that. And a lot of companies, like with coronavirus, first came out, there were all of these statements about their response to coronavirus. And with these recent deaths, a lot of companies have come out with like these statements of solidarity. I haven't read all of them because reading them won't bring back the people who have died. And some of them have been powerful. Ben and Jerry, their statement was that we have to end white supremacy. And I'm so glad that they said that. It was so close for the individuals who murdered George Floyd that they would have gotten away with it, because when you are a police officer, it's legal for you to kill someone, which is very scary. And just the way that George Floyd died, it just like breaks my heart. And so there are a number of protests that are happening in the city that I live in, and I went to a protest and more of a conversation in my neighborhoods, in order to um, just be with other people and to listen and to be part of it. And so there's a march that's happening in my city June 14th, and I will be attending that march. Um, and if there are other marches that I can participate in or just show up, I will do that, because I think that there is a racial revolution that's happening, and it's happening at a great time because most of the country, we're stuck at home and we are forced to deal with what is at our front door. And I'm excited about these conversations. I'm excited what will come out of these conversations, the changes that will occur, the people who may be changed, but it starts with conversations. And I'm so happy about that. I am happy about new relationships that will be built because of this. And so I'm curious how you all are reacting to everything that's happening in the world. And um, I'm comforted knowing that I'm not alone in the way that I've been struggling with this. Like, my community, we are turned upside down. And it's kind of like this odd place to be Black and also part of the LGBTQ plus community, because oftentimes we feel as if all Black lives don't matter, when we hear about brutality against the community. And so I'm hoping with the marches that are happening across the country that people will really mean that all Black lives matter. And to other communities who are impacted by police brutality, we feel you as well. We're all in this together. I've said it in videos previously that the first time I experienced harassment from a police officer was when I moved to California. I never experienced that in my hometown. And it was continuous. And I don't drive. Um, my best friend, I actually didn't even live in California when I experienced this. Every time I would visit my best friend here, he would get stopped and pulled over by police officers almost on an everyday basis because he is extremely dark. He looks very Haitian, and he likes flashy cars, and he would get pulled up. One time he got pulled over 3 times in one day. And I'm like, just like, what is it? Like, it has to be the color of his skin, because you're not pulling him over for any other reason besides that he looks suspicious to you because he is a dark skinned Black man. And I was very disturbed in Buffalo, New York. There was a march, and an elderly white male who was in his 70s was talking to police officers, and one of them pushed him down, and the older male hit his head on the sidewalk, started bleeding, and the officer that pushed him like went to I think assist him. I don't know, because another police officer pulled him away and they left. No one called fire and rescue to transport him to the hospital. They kept walking, and those two officers were suspended, and the entire police force um, walked out in solidarity with these two officers. To those police officers, how would you have felt if that was your father? How would you have felt if that was your grandfather? If that was a member of your family, you would have been heartbroken. They left him there to possibly die. And it's just disgusting. And police officers, police stations need to be called out by their treatment against people. There have been countless peaceful protests in LA, and peaceful protesters have been tear gassed, have been hit with batons, have been harassed by the police. And there's a police officer, I think in Philadelphia, he posted a story on Instagram of blood droplets on a sidewalk, and he laid down his baton and he wrote a caption over the baton that said something to the effect of "Bro getting what he deserved." Just absolutely disgusting. And for an officer to think that's okay, he was, I think he was either suspended without pay or fired. Maybe suspended without pay, because the police union, it's difficult to um, terminate a police officer's contract. And I think we have to start with the police unions, that they need to be removed, because they really ensure that it's difficult to fire police officers, to suspend them, and they have so much political influence. And so I'm glad we're having these conversations, because they are way overdue. And so I will slowly go back to reviewing videos, but know this, that we need to see changes in this country and all over the world. Um, yes, there are different races of people, but we are one. We are one human race, and we are all in this together. And the thing that I'm reminded of is that if we all unite as a single community, we can get through this. And that makes me hopeful. And so I would love to hear what you all think about everything that's going on in the world, the protests, the peaceful protests, and how coronavirus has us glued to our television sets and constantly online looking for updates. So I hope that you guys are safe. I hope that you guys know that you are loved, and I look forward to moving back to the space where I was before all of this ugliness that we've experienced in the world. I will see you all very soon. Besos.